Welcome to the deep dive. Okay, get ready, because we're diving into a recent test match that, well, it pretty much had everything. We saw some really solid batting, a seriously dominant spin display, and yeah, even a surprise resignation right after. So today we're unpacking the second test between Bangladesh and Sri Lanka. It all went down June 25th to 28th, 2025 at the Sinhalese Sports Club in Colombo, classic venue. Our mission here is simple. Pull out the key takeaways from this match, figure out what made it tick, what it means for both sides, and basically get you up to speed quickly but thoroughly. Sound good? Let's jump in. Right, so it starts with Bangladesh winning the toss. They chose to bat first. And, you know, on the surface, that seems like a decent call. Standard procedure, really.
Yeah, makes sense. Get runs on the board.
But, well, the first innings didn't quite go to plan. They ended up all out for 247.
Okay.
Really, the only one who truly stood firm was Najmul Hossain. He really had to grind it out. Ended up with a hard-fought 76.
Yeah, a lone hand, it sounds like. And, you know, even as that was happening, you could already see hints from the Sri Lankan side.
Oh, yeah.
Especially from Prabath Jayasuriya, the spinner. It was like he was signaling early on, okay, this pitch, this is going to be mine.
Right.
He wasn't just taking wickets. You could sense the control he had. It kind of foreshadowed his dominance later, and it really underlines how crucial spin can be, especially in those conditions.
Absolutely. And then Sri Lanka's turn to bat. They didn't just respond. They basically took the game by the scruff of the neck. Ruthless is a good word for it.
That's one for it.
Their top order completely dominated. And the main man, no question, was Pathum Nissanka. Smashed a brilliant 158.
Wow, big score.
Oh, yeah. And it wasn't just runs. It was the quality. Patient, classy, technically just about perfect. A proper test match innings.
You love to see that kind of application.
Definitely. And he wasn't alone. Dinesh Chandimal provided massive support, got 93. So close to 100.
Agonizingly close.
And Kusal Mendes chipped in with a really important 84 as well. So solid contributions around Nissanka.
Yeah, and it's interesting you mentioned Bangladesh's effort. Taijul Islam actually bowled pretty well. He got 5 wickets.
We did, yeah.
But like you said, Sri Lanka were just relentless. It just wasn't enough to stem the flow, you know?
Exactly.
They ended up putting 458 on the board. That's a huge total. And crucially, it gave them that mammoth 211-run lead.
Huge lead.
And that kind of lead in Test cricket, I mean, it's not just the numbers. It completely changes the feel of the game, the pressure. Bangladesh were staring down a mountain before they even faced a ball in the second innings.
You said it. And then the second innings for Bangladesh, with that huge lead hanging over them, they just crumbled.
Yeah, the pressure tells.
It was pretty dramatic to watch. A really quick, painful collapse. And guess who was central to it all again?
Let me guess. Jayasuriya.
Prabath Jayasuriya. He just continued his magic. Another 5 wickets in that innings, 5 for just 56 runs this time.
Incredible figures. He basically owned the match.
It felt like it. And the collapse itself was, well, severe. Bangladesh all out for only 133.
Oof.
And get this. Towards the end, they lost their last 6 wickets for just 33 runs. Just a complete implosion.
Wow, 6 for 33. That's brutal. And it speaks volumes, doesn't it? Jayasuriya's skill, yes, but also exploiting that scoreboard pressure, the wearing pitch.
Exactly.
He wasn't just taking wickets. It felt like he was, I don't know, dismantling their whole approach, their belief. It became less about technique and more about just surviving him.
Yeah.
And while none of the Bangladeshi batsmen really could stand up to it in that innings, it really shows how one bowler, when they're completely on song like that, can just dictate terms.
Totally. So Sri Lanka didn't even need to bat again. They wrapped it up by an innings and 78 runs.
Clinical finish.
Seals the match. And seals the series, too. 1-0 to Sri Lanka.
Important series win at home.
Very. And beyond just the win, it gets them 12 crucial World Test Championship points. You know how valuable those are.
Yeah, every point counts massively in the WTC standings. Big boost for them.
And the individual awards, no surprise really, Pathum Nissanka for that fantastic 158, named Player of the Match and Player of the Series. Well-deserved.
Couldn't argue with that. His innings really set the foundation.
Right. But then, okay, the dust settles on the pitch, and then comes this pretty major news off the field.
Yes, the resignation.
Exactly. The Bangladesh captain, Najmul Hossain Shanto, he announced he was stepping down as test captain.
Immediately after.
Right after. And he explicitly said he took, quote, full responsibility for the team's poor performance.
Wow. That's quite a statement. Very direct, very public accountability.
It is.
It makes you think, though, was it a complete shock or, maybe somewhat expected given how things went and the kind of pressure captaincy brings, especially in international cricket?
That's a fair question.
And this idea of taking full responsibility, does that actually fix the underlying problems? Or is it perhaps a quick way to try and draw a line under a bad result? It raises some interesting questions about leadership and how teams react to big defeats like this.
Definitely food for thought. And important to remember, the tour itself isn't finished.
Right. The white ball games are next.
Yep, they move on to the limited over stuff now. 3 ODIs, 3 T20Is, starting up on July 2nd.
Okay.
So the big questions now, really for you listening, are, after this tough test loss and the captain stepping down, can Bangladesh somehow regroup and bounce back in the shorter format?
Different formats, different mindset, maybe?
Maybe. And on the flip side, will Sri Lanka carry this momentum and continue their dominance on home soil? Those are the things we'll be watching out for.
For sure.
So just to quickly recap our deep dive here, Sri Lanka were dominant, no doubt about it. You had standout individual performances, Nissanka with the bat, Jayasuriya with the ball, just immense.
Absolutely key performances.
And then that big shakeup for Bangladesh with Shanto's resignation right after the match. A lot happened in just a few days.
Yeah, quite eventful. And it leaves you with that final thought, doesn't it? Given that swift resignation and how the team struggled, what kind of leadership void does that actually create for Bangladesh? And, how might this very decisive action, the captain stepping down, how might that actually reshape their whole approach? Not just for these upcoming white ball games, but maybe for their test cricket future as well. It makes you ponder the longer-term impact.